movements. Disturbing for some.
We usually don't see bodies in that position unless they're broken.
Enticing to others.
It's just a fantasy. It's just, what are the possibilities? Oh my God.
Are these performers freaks of nature or highly trained artists? Bodybenders, entertaining audiences with their twisted shows. Contortion, the twisting of the human body into positions beyond the normal range of flexibility. For many fans, this body bending is the marriage of sport and art, worthy of the respect given to traditional athletics and the awe inspired by its fluid beauty. The people who undertake this unusual art form must embark on a journey of tremendous dedication. They all start with one unique gift, a natural ability for extreme stretching, which they enhance through rigorous training regimens. For those who make this flexible craft their profession, contortion can lead many places. It has taken Mongolian contortionist Undarma from her childhood home of Ulaanbaatar to the glittering world of the Las Vegas showroom. For Daniel Browning-Smith, bodybending has opened the doors to self-expression as he infuses the ancient art of contortion with his edgy passion. Bodybending has transformed the dance routines of exotic entertainer Alexis on Fire into sexy exhibitions of suppleness, sought out by fans worldwide. And while 88-year-old bodybender June Tatro still has the moves, 10-year-old Sonya is only beginning to prepare for her stage debut. For all of the bodybenders, it's a journey filled with pitfalls. Even the most successful contortionists labor in obscurity. But it's the drive to keep pushing their own boundaries that keeps these unique performers bending further and further beyond their limits. Contortion has taken Manchester, England native Rose Zone to both physical and geographic extremes. In the remote reaches of Alaska, Rose and a team of photographers planned the most unique shoot of their lives. As they sail through the frozen waters, they search for the perfect glacier. When the location is found and the move is rehearsed, Rose removes her protective clothing and begins posing on the ice. The resulting photos are a stunning illustration of the extremes of both nature and the human body. The project, working to create photographs on ice, proved to be the most physically demanding thing Rose has ever done.
Doing contortion on icebergs and on glaciers is like 1000% concentration. It was, I went into like a meditation. I was only aware of the voice of the photographer saying legs a bit forward, legs a bit back, head up.
Beautiful, Rose, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. You're doing so good, so good. Turn forward.
Yeah, do it now, I'd say.
Yes.
I could hear what he was saying to me, but sometimes it was just so cold. It was just so cold. And I just had to like separate myself from my body.
Okay, Achtung.
Rose is a fiercely independent woman who is single-mindedly devoted to her craft.
Perfect.
I'm an artist. I don't do any jobs on the side. I'm an artist. And if you're hungry, you're hungry.
After years of hard work, she has found recognition for her unconventional body bending. She has used her contortion skills modeling in international ad campaigns and performs in some of Europe's hottest nightclubs. Exceptionally limber from birth, Rose always knew she could do something special with her gift.
As a child, I was always moving like that. And for me, it's in a way, I suppose, a natural... The body is more flexible than the normal body, but for me, it's normal. When I was 17, I found out about a lady in Cambridge that was teaching contortion, and asked her if she would teach me. She said no several times on the phone, and so I just went and turned up in front of her house door. I persuaded her to let me in, and I showed her what I could do, and so she accepted me.
What Rose lacked in training, she made up for in enthusiasm. Early on, her zeal occasionally got her into compromising positions.
And they had to slow me down a bit, but I went crazy and was training as much as possible. But the most amazing thing that happened to me was when I first rolled over onto my chin with my feet over, and I saw stars because I threw myself over so heavily that I hit my bottom on my head and saw stars. And then I realized I didn't know how to breathe, and then I realized I didn't know how to get out of the position, because when you're there with the first time in your life with your feet in front of you, it's very difficult to think, how do I coordinate my limbs so I can get out of the position.
Always committed to doing things her own way, Rose takes full control of her shows, doing everything from building her stage to choreographing her routines. Rose is a self-made contortionist in a culture that tends to view benders as freaks. But contortionists from Eastern cultures follow a different path. Undarma Dario was born and trained in Mongolia. She now lives in Las Vegas. She is one of the few contortionists performing regularly in an American production. 5 nights a week, people flock to see the show Splash at the Riviera Hotel and Casino, where the chaos of the city is stilled for 6 minutes while Undarma takes the stage.
The best part is that go on the stage, they give me the light and just start my act. That's the best moment for me, because they have no idea what's gonna happen. So.
She was a little girl when she accidentally discovered her astounding flexibility.
I watch TV, there is a Christmas show, and the lady very popular in Mongolia, she's a coach also now. She was doing a contortion act, and I was like, oh wow, and I tried on the couch, and my leg came over, and like, look, mommy, daddy, like I was like doing a contortion. And they were like, oh my God, don't do it. You're gonna break your neck, or like you're gonna break your back.
Undarma dreamed of studying at the Mongolian State Circus School, which is world-renowned for training first-class acrobats and contortionists. Undarma was accepted into the prestigious school, where she trained as hard as any Olympic hopeful. It's a discipline she maintains even now, working daily to push the limits of her abilities.
10 times. 1, 2, 3. 10. No, I did 5.
While performing in the Mongolian State Circus, Undarma was spotted by a talent scout from the Ringling Brothers and Barnum & Bailey Circus. He was so impressed by her abilities, he brought her act to America. Life in the States has been very good to Undarma. While at Barnum & Bailey, she fell in love with trapeze artist Peter Gold, now her fiancé.
See you later.
She definitely seems to be a little bit more flexible in her crowd of contortionists, and there's just some beautiful experience that happens during her act that's really unique, and it's hard to describe, hard to put into words. I guess you have to see it.
Her show always gets a reaction from the audience.
Sometimes they get quiet, and sometimes my body tells them to be quiet some places, and sometimes they're like, wow, ooh, scream, and that helps me a lot. Actually, what I'm doing, like my movement, I connect with the people.
Undarma's performance style exhibits strength and balance, as well as extreme flexibility. For Rose Zone, performances are built on dramatic, imaginative characters.
The characters that I've got are like different aspects of me or of my fantasy. Putting on the makeup is also part of the transformation, the character's getting there. And then when I put on the costume and start doing the moves, it's an exciting feeling of, okay, here she is.
One of her stock characters is Rocky, a warrior whose dance is a celebration of vanquishing her enemies. Rocky rejoices in her victory, building to a symbolic drinking of their blood.
I always wanted to play a superhero that had a special power with contortion or kickboxing with contortion or something like that. When I go on stage at these events, the people just go crazy from the second of just standing on stage, and it gives me an incredible natural high. It's just an amazing feedback from the audience.
Audiences have always played a pivotal role in contortion's development. In ancient times, it was a skill used to entertain royalty. Eventually, bodybending evolved into a featured act of circuses worldwide. Over the years, contortion has had ups and downs in popularity. In the 1920s, extreme bending acts thrived in variety and vaudeville shows and nightclubs in Europe. As bodybending's popularity grew, so did competition and the pressure to find a new twist. Promoters found that the solution to attracting crowds was the disappearance of costumes, going from form-fitting tights to bare skin in the 1930s.
The approach was toward less and less costume and more skin. And then you had this time during the late 30s into the 1940s where calculated pornographic ambition appeared in contortionist acts, and they became part striptease, part erotic dance, and part contortionist act.
Psychologist Cheryl Arutt believes that men and women look at the art differently, especially when viewing performers of the opposite sex.
Women tend to look at male contortionists in terms of a less objectified way, just because we tend to be brought up to look at things and experience things in some different ways. And women may be more likely to look at the male contortionist and appreciate him for his flexibility and his strength and his coordination.
German performer Lars Houga understands this fascination with the body and uses it to his act's advantage.
It's body work. It's body work, body art, and of course you can exclude erotic. So I used that and presented erotic. Of course, I can dress clothes, but the audience have erotic association, and why not?
When less is more for contortion fans, performers like Lars Houga can turn up the heat as they strip down to reveal more than just their flexibility. At the International Contortion Convention in Las Vegas, 30-year-old German contortionist Lars Houga shocked and amazed the crowd of fellow performers and many fans with a bold, in-your-face, and for some, erotic act. For Lars, both his performance and the convention were high points in a decade-long career.
Yeah, I was very excited, and I love to perform in Las Vegas, of course. I found out for me, if you present the body, then the people can see how the muscles work. It's better. It looks more natural and erotic. It's an aspect of that. The people love that, and so I undressed me on stage, and it was a little bit not really a strip show, but it had an erotic touch.
Lars hadn't planned on being labeled an erotic performer. He began studying contortion at an East Berlin ballet and acrobatic school.
What I loved was so more than ballet, a little bit extremer, you know. Ballet is so restricted, and contortionist, you can go to the limit, yeah, and that's what I love.
Though limber from his years of dance, Lars did not have the extreme flexibility most contortionists are born with. Therefore, to gain some of these skills, he followed a grueling training schedule.
Start with 4 hour school in the morning, and then we walk to the gym and make our practice, so 3 hours. And in the evening, I go to my ballet teacher, and we make 2 hours ballet class.
At age 18, Lars was ready to strike out on his own. His inspiration was one of Europe's top contortionists, Miss Albina.
She performed in TV shows, and she was very elegant, very erotic. I was fascinated from her body and her beauty. You know, this position I learned from Miss Albina. She was famous for this position.
Practicing for hours daily to maintain his flexibility and physique, Lars has developed his own moves that play to his strengths.
I like to stretching my legs. I have long legs, and it looks good if you're very flexible. And so it's my flexibility with my legs and my back both together is what look like good and very flexible. I'm not so extremely flexible here, and so I use my legs, and it looks more flexible than it is.
Costuming, or the lack of it, is one of the most important aspects of Lars' show. Over the last 10 years, Lars has modeled, performed on a series of high-profile European television shows, in trade shows, and on stages. But his most steady employment is at nightclub discos.
I perform on ladies' night, you know, with some strippers. Of course, there are more atmosphere. It's louder, but men likes that too. They say, "Wow, it's unbelievable," and everybody compares it with their own body. That's very interesting.
Lars revels in the sexiness of bodybending, and Dr. Arutt isn't surprised by the audience's fascination.
It's very arousing to look at healthy, strong, fit bodies, especially bodies stretching and doing things that we may have never seen before, or certainly haven't been able to do ourselves. Sex and sexual fantasy can in part be about transcending limits, about all different kinds of limits, emotional limits, body boundaries of where does one person end and the other begin. There are all sorts of limits and going beyond them.
Dr. Arutt says for some men, this sexual undertone mirrors real-life gender roles.
It seems to be an extension of the traditional gender stereotypes of being female, in the sense that women have always been brought up in society to bend and accommodate even beyond recognition at times in order to please somebody else. And in contortionism, you've got women bending and entertaining another person in a very extreme version of that. But another aspect of why people may respond with sexual interest, particularly with women contortionists, is that the area of women's bodies that is usually quite hidden and forbidden and kept from view is on display.
For the body bender called Alexis on Fire, putting her body on display is what it's all about. She discovered her talent for adult entertainment while working as a stripper to put herself through college.
My personality has always been good girl, bad girl kind of thing. For me, it was really exciting to be able to go to school during the day and strip at night and just know that I did that.
Modern dance was Alexis's first love, and she graduated with a bachelor's degree in dance. But she decided to use what she learned at the strip club to launch a different career. Naturally flexible, she realized how much customers enjoyed watching her do the strange moves that came easily to her.
I'd just start stretching and people would just start trickling over to the stage and they'd start putting their money out, and I'm like, this is really cool, and this is actually also a lot easier than like busting a move the whole night. It's trying to get the connection. Okay.
Alexis decided to capitalize on a new type of market. She began creating live internet shows from her home studio.
So they make requests and I do it, so I sit here with my keyboard and type away, and sometimes when it gets really busy and somebody will come in over there and then I've got my headset on for phone, so sometimes I'll be talking on the phone to somebody and then somebody else will come in and so then I'll put my keyboard over here so I can type to this one over here. I'll use my toes over here and I'll be doing this over here. Somebody will come in and say, well, hey, can you do something else? And I'll be like, okay, well, hang on one second.
Because she never trained as a contortionist, Alexis credits her fans with helping her develop her skills.
I had real, true contortion fans that knew a lot more about it than I did, coming to me and saying, okay, well, can you do this? Can you do this? Okay, well, snap me some pictures.
Some requests reveal the dark side of body bending. Alexis remembers one fan whose fantasy deeply disturbed her.
The thing that he wants me to do, which I can do part way, but is to be laying on my back with one leg out and the other leg behind my head like this, which I can do no problem. Then I lay back. Then he wants me to pull this around and place it in the back underneath my armpit and pull it through. It's a feeling I truly get from the guy, is that he wants to break my bones.
Dr. Arutt says that a man like this can be a cause for alarm.
The person who is trying to get these forbidden needs met, he's taking on this very sort of macho role of, I'm going to call in and I'm going to make this woman do what I want and I'm going to watch her. And this may be someone who regulates his aggression and his rage through these enactments, and they may be escalating in such a way that he needs more and more and more extreme types of performances where he may very well have wanted to break her in half.
Oh, more like that?
In Alexis's experience, the psychos are few and far between. But she does have to deal with the scorn of traditional contortionists, who see her work as degrading and possibly dangerous.
Come back again though, okay? Bye, love.
Yeah? Not good.
European contortion producer and manager Skye von Schoening feels these blatantly sexual performances are a slap in the face to traditional professionals.
Dann sehen wir uns später, ne? Ja, bis dann. Tschüss.
I've been working with contortionists for so many years. They are acrobats, they are artists, and like to take it very serious as an art form. And then somebody comes along who is naturally flexible, but maybe not that much a contortionist, and doesn't do the same kind of thing. And then it's connected with what they are doing. I can tell you many artists, contortionists, will get hyper upset about that. I do not like to see it sexually or pornographically connected. Not at all. I utterly dislike it.
I do think that traditional contortionists don't see the art that I might bring to it. But I do have something to offer contortion, and just the fact that what I do would outrage people, I've done something already.
Despite their different performance styles, contortionists all have an incredible drive to push themselves to the limit of their physical abilities. But how much is training, and how much is genetic wiring?
This is my partner, Daniel Browning Smith. He's a contortionist. And
Bodybender Daniel Browning Smith's natural abilities are exceptional, even by contortionist standards. And his unique performance style and extreme body movements are designed to shock those who come to see his shows.
I love performing on the street because it's real. All these people have all these agendas and they're all going somewhere, and you have to convince them that they want you to be part of their day.
Just get in the box.
What makes Daniel stand out in a contortion crowd is his prop-oriented show, during which he fits his 5-foot-inch frame into an 18 by 16-inch box.
Got it? Got
it? This stunt, a crowd favorite, does not come easily. To squeeze his whole body inside, Daniel must turn himself into a human puzzle. There's only one way the pieces will fit.
Well, when I get in, I have to basically twist my torso around my knee. But the pattern I get, what it looks like on the inside, is a secret of the trade.
Getting out of the box is every bit as challenging.
Everything's inside this box, but now my legs are kind of like trapping me in, so I have to move them properly to get out.
Then there's his ability to maneuver himself through a series of very small objects, including a tennis racket and a toilet seat.
It started off, I contorted because I could do it, and then I started contorting on stage, and I just became a passion I was in love with. And then I discovered how it was an outlet that you can turn like your daydreams into reality, and that's basically like the main goal of what I do, is I have all these ideas and they come to fruition, and it's pretty cool.
Daniel's odd positions look painful and abnormal, as if he either has broken bones or none at all. Like other contortionists, Daniel's amazing ability is a result of a natural physical gift of extreme flexibility, augmented by many years of training. Orthopedic surgeon Boyd Flinders has worked with contortionists for many years. He explains how these bodybenders are able to twist their bodies in such inconceivable ways.
I think most probably it's a development of the collagen, which is the woven fabric that makes up the ligaments, the muscles, the tendons, all of the connective tissue. It's how much elastic tissue is in the collagen fiber, thus making it more stretchable or hyperflexible. Notice that you can...
Dr. Flinders says it is necessary for a person to have some natural predisposition to flexibility to even think about becoming a contortionist.
Whichever way you can do it most...
Dancer and contortionist Vanessa Huntoon exhibits this natural limberness.
We consider, for example, an arm or an elbow. We can bend it up towards ourselves, which we call flexion. We can straighten our arm out all the way, but a contortionist can straighten it beyond being all the way out. They can bend it actually backwards. The spine of a contortionist may have some small variation in the anatomical development. However, most of it is going to be related to the fact that the tissue itself, the ligaments binding one spine vertebra to another, is more elastic and therefore more mobile.
Dr. Flinders believes bodybenders will retain most of their natural flexibility, even if they do nothing with their bodies. Contortionist Jessica DeStefano began performing as a child, but retired from talent competitions a few years ago.
I have been mostly inactive for a little over 2 years, 2.5 years. Of course I can still do it. I just went into a chin stand, and that was a little more difficult than it would have been 2 years ago, but I can still do it, and with a little stretching and warm-up, I'll be able to get back where I was before.
A number of contortionists, Daniel included, are capable of physically dislocating their joints.
In a contortionist's body, as they bend, the ligaments are having a greater degree of freedom of movement, in certain instances to the point where contortionists can dislocate a joint, particularly their shoulders. Now, when that tissue allows it to stretch that far, you're not causing injury per se to the tissue, therefore it's not really painful.
Even within a group of bodybenders, there is a range of flexibility, but Daniel's movements are considered practically off the charts. Like many contortionists, Daniel discovered his unique abilities by accident.
I was 4 years old. I jumped off the bunk bed and landed in a straddle split and showed my father, and he was like, wow, most people can't do that. I grew up in Mississippi, so I never actually seen a contortionist act before. So I had no idea what an act would look like. I just saw pictures. And so I was doing what was in my mind, what a contortionist act would be. It became like a pastime and hobby. So instead of like going outside and throwing the football around, I was, jumping around and contorting.
After performing for 5 years, Daniel felt that there were areas of bodybending that he really wanted help with. He enrolled in the prestigious San Francisco School of Circus Arts. Students from across the country come here to learn skills for the big top. Daniel sought out former Chinese acrobat Master Lu Yi, a well-known contortion trainer.
Yeah. So this one right here?
Yeah. He has very good supple body. He, through the training, changed a lot. How, through the acrobatic training, make the muscles stronger to control his body. Lift back. Yes. Good. Beautiful.
I'd work out 6 hours a day, like 6 days a week. And it took me like 5 months before I could start doing the things that I wanted to. And it's all strength training, like handstand push-ups and presses all day long.
Then what you like to move the band?
Daniel is back on the road doing stage shows and auditioning for film and TV roles. But his top priority remains pushing the limits of his abilities to discover more complex and shocking tricks. In one of his most unique stunts, Daniel uses his exceptional muscle control to move his heart.
It pulls my rib cage up and my insides down and moves my heart so you can see it beat. And I'm the only person on the planet I know of that can do that.
Though contortionists are born with a great deal more flexibility than the average person, genetics alone cannot make a performer. It takes years of hard work and dedication to transform suppleness into an art. Just a year ago, neither 10-year-old Sonya nor her parents had even heard of contortion. When Sonya's mother Luba began searching for a sport for her daughter, a friend introduced her to fellow Russian immigrant David Fox, a professional trainer with over 30 years of circus experience. David suggested they check out some websites for contortion information.
I was kind of surprised. I didn't realize where the person's legs were and where the head was, everything. And it looked very weird. I didn't think that I could ever do that.
and bend backward.
Yeah. Though initially Sonya's flexibility was not extraordinary, David saw potential and decided to give her a chance. Because Sonya's limberness had to be developed, they began with the most basic steps.
Your head goes underneath, you know, like try to touch your leg. Great. I just show Sonya what people are able to do, and then gradually we are going into this position, and it may take one day, it may take 15 minutes, it may take several days. It doesn't matter how. And if she wants to get there, she just gets there.
Over the past year, Sonya has worked with David 2 times a week for 2 hours, and her flexibility has measurably increased.
David usually shows me like a photograph, and then I try to do that, and he shows me how, and then I keep practicing until I get it correct.
My role as a trainer is, first of all, to ensure her well-being, so she will not hurt herself by any means, whatever. Oops. Okay, fine. So I'm just watching, I'm supportive, I'm always nearby, and I kind of motivate her only by words. Wonderful. Now you're good.
Dr. Cheryl Arutt believes encouraging Sonya's talent can lead to long-term benefits.
People who have those abilities experience them as a talent and a strength and something unusual that they possess. And when that's combined with discipline and drive and some sort of goal-directed behavior, that can be a very, very powerful motivation, and it can be a real source of self-esteem and accomplishment.
Just focus on your back. Oops. Exactly. And
it's kind of weird to see my feet in front of me, or to see like the ground when I'm like on my hands, and how my whole body is just above my hands. And it's kind of scary sometimes, but then I just close my eyes.
Amazing. Sonya, beautiful.
Sonya is young. Her body has a lifetime of wear and tear ahead. But what happens to a bodybender's body as it ages? While for many benders, contortion is a professional goal, there are those people who turn to extreme bending for its health benefits. 74-year-old Walter Sangri is a retired anthropology professor who has maintained an extreme stretching regimen utilizing contortion moves throughout his life.
Well, I've always been somewhat more flexible than most people that I was going to school with.
Walter feels that 5 decades of stretching have made him savvier about his body's limitations. This awareness has helped as he's grown older.
Well, if you live long enough, you begin to get some of these parts wearing out. You get so that your joints simply aren't as forgiving if they've been banged. And so getting older, and perhaps the less forgiving your body is of abuse, gets more than compensated by your being smarter about how you use your body.
Most days, Walter's routine involves a warm-up, followed by some deep bending.
Oh, it feels great. I mean, I think one of the things you learn is to do this in a way which makes you more alive, makes you more, alive in the sense of, oh gosh, an appreciation of how good it feels to be yourself and inside your own body, or be your own body.
Dr. Flinders is not surprised by Walter's ability to maintain his extreme limberness well into old age.
As a contortionist ages, you're not going to find a significant difference in the overall aspect of their ability to do something beyond normal. And their body tissue is still very resilient and in good condition, so they're not predisposed to any early wearing out or arthritic condition per se.
More proof of continued extreme flexibility is 88-year-old June Tatro, a professional fitness instructor who has retained her amazing limberness at an age when getting out of a chair is difficult for a lot of people. June teaches an exercise class for the elderly, showing them how normal stretching can help them lead more active lives.
1, 2, 3, out to 3. Now straight out. Okay, very slowly. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. 1, 2, 3, out to 3. 1, 2, 3, out to 3. And your arm in the opposite direction.
Some of her students are well into their 90s. Several years ago, a doctor predicted that June herself would succumb to arthritis, but she credits her continued flexibility with keeping it in check.
I said, I'm not going to have arthritis. And he said, you can't wish it away. And I said, well, maybe I can stretch it away. And I did.
Naturally loose ligaments enhanced by a lifetime of training are helping contortionists achieve their potential at the various stages of their lives. But it takes more than flexibility and artistry to survive as a professional bodybender. Like any performer, bodybenders who decide to try to make a living using their flexibility skills have a tough job. For Rose Zone, the chance to do photographer Thomas Kettner's calendar was an unbelievable opportunity.
The idea was that we represent how fragile the human being is next to nature. Nobody was really sure what to expect. Nobody had much experience of doing photos on icebergs, you know. It's not the everyday European thing.
But the astounding scenery made the final photos well worth the effort. While Rose's assignment was extremely unusual, a more typical contortion gig is performing at trade shows.
I pass out business cards like this with my toes. Well, I'm in contortion poses. I'm like, please, sir, come take one. Come here. And they always come up. And then they take the card.
But the unusual nature of their performances often makes work hard to find.
A lot of varieties don't take me because it's too erotic. But I don't change my act for this because I know that the audience love that. But if the variety people say, oh, it's wonderful, but not in our house, we are serious, and they have a problem with this, it's not my problem.
To increase exposure, contortion producer Skay von Schoening has put together the International Contortion Convention in Las Vegas.
You can ask questions, not too personal, of course, but...
3 days of lectures and workshops culminated in an evening of contortion performances.
I think the fact that we did it in Vegas gave it so much more attention, which I was hoping for.
21-year-old Jessica DeStefano traveled to the Vegas convention to jumpstart her dormant career.
I haven't done any performances since I was 17 years old. I know that I'm not at the same level I was at then, and I probably won't be for a while.
Knowing the other performers would probably outshine her routine, she still performed gamely, feeding off the audience's energy.
There's a continuously growing loop between the audience and the performer. All of that comes back to me as a performer, and since I like getting a reaction from the crowd, I just try a little bit harder.
Each artist, no matter what their background, training, or ability, displays their individuality through performance. Each one has their own dream for the future.
We have a dream probably to go on one of very famous European competitions in Circus, which could be in Netherlands, and ultimate dream to go to Monaco and to get the gold medal.
The stunt I'm working on now, it's pretty big. Houdini's East River stunt, where they put him in a box, threw it in the water, and he popped out. Well, I'm going to take a box, chain it up, tie a rope to it, throw it in the water, and I jump in after it, and they pull it up, and I'm inside. And that's what I'm working on right now.
I've decided I'd like to be the spokeswoman for nude contortionists and women on the internet in general, just to be a resource.
I think we're going to have some really interesting children. Good. And I don't know if they're going to be contortionists or trapeze artists or something else. We're open to everything and attached to nothing.
Whatever form contortion might take in the future, Those devoted to the art are confident body bending, which has already lasted 6,000 years, will never disappear.
The art form in as such, I think it will survive forever because of it being something so different, which only very few people are in a position to do.